Hi everyone, thanks for tuning in to our writing video for this week. We are going to talk a little bit about poetry since April is National Poetry Month. And so your assignment this week is to write a poem. And so I'm going to walk through a few elements of poetry with you and also introduce a few types of poetry for you to get some ideas of how to write your own poem. So as you can see on my screen here, I have some figurative language, which we call beautiful writing, and oftentimes we see figurative language being used in poetry. You might be familiar with some of these terms we've talked a little bit about throughout the year. The first one is a very long, strange word, onomatopoeia. An onomatopoeia is a word that imitates the sound it makes. So we've seen these words often in stories that we read, but they also are found in poetry. Words like crash, boom, bang, tick, tock, splash, meow, ribbit, kerplunk, buzz, moo. Those words also imitate their own sound. So those are called onomatopoeia. I call them sound words. The example sentence they gave was splash, the boy jumped into the pool. Buzz, the bees flew into their nest. So sometimes it's fun to add onomatopoeia words into your poetry because it kind of helps the reader get an idea of the sounds they could be hearing while they read your poem. The next word is a simile. A simile is a comparison between two unlike things using the words like or as. So it's when you're comparing two things together, two very different things, but they have something in relation to one another, something in common. For example, the clouds are as soft as a pillow. So clouds and pillows are two very different things, but they're being compared together by how soft they are. Room 301 works as busy as a bee. Well, my class, room 301, and bees are two very different things, but the comparison is that both are busy. Her hair was soft like silk. Well, hair and silk are again two different things, but the comparison is that both are soft. So when you are comparing two things using the word like or the word as, you are creating a simile. And oftentimes similes are used in poetry because they are unique and fun ways of making comparisons among two different things. The next type of figurative language is personification. And in the word personification, it actually kind of has a hidden word. If you look at the very beginning, it says person. So a person is like you and me. And when we use personification, it's adding a human trait to a non-human thing. For example, the leaves danced in the wind. Well, leaves are not people, they're not humans, so they don't dance. But when we say they danced in the wind, that's just a really fun, fancy way of saying how they are falling down from the tree. Instead of saying the leaves fell in the wind or the leaves blew in the wind, by saying the leaves danced, it kind of gives a little excitement to that sentence and it makes it a little more interesting. So we see personification being used a lot in poetry, especially with things in nature. The next sentence, the wind tickled his nose. Well, wind is not a living thing. It's not like it reaches out its hand and tickles you. But instead of just saying the wind blew on his nose or, the wind touched his nose, by saying tickled, it just makes it a little more fun. And the trees waved goodbye. Again, trees don't have hands. They're not reaching out and waving, but instead this means that the tree limbs were maybe moving from the wind, but it's more interesting to say that the trees waved. So personification is when we add a human trait to something that's non-living. Alliteration, I'm sure you have heard examples of this before, especially with the phrase, Sally sells seashells down by the seashore. Alliteration is simply the repetition of the same beginning sounds of a word. So in Sally sells seashells, you hear a lot of the S sounds being used. Some other examples I have here. 10 terrible tigers twirled 2 trumpets on Tuesday. You hear a lot of the beginning t sounds, the T's. Henry Hippopotamus had hundreds of hiccups, hooray. Again, you hear a lot of the beginning H sounds on those words. And so it's just a fun way to write phrases in poetry because you hear the same sound being repeated. And poetry is all about the rhythm, the rhyme, the phrasing of things, the repetition. And so it's another element of poetry we see being used often. Idioms are those sentences that are not meant to be taken seriously. They're kind of like expressions. We've seen some of these being used in our grammar simple solution books, but it's a silly sentence that you don't take it to mean what it actually says. There's another meaning behind it. For example, when someone says it's raining cats and dogs, they don't actually mean cats and dogs are falling from the sky. It just is an expression, a silly sentence that means it's raining really bad outside. It's pouring down rain. I'm so tired that I'm going to hit the hay. It does not mean I'm going to go out to my barn and just start hitting on the hay. It doesn't mean you're going to just start smacking the hay around. When you say I'm so tired I'm going to hit the hay, it simply means you're going to go to bed. And so we see that idiom as a silly sentence. And when someone says to you, it's none of your beeswax what I'm doing tonight, we're not actually talking about beeswax at all. It just means it's none of your business. So it's a silly phrase or expression that we don't take seriously. I have a couple examples here to see if we can match up the type of figurative language each of these sentences represents. So the first one says, I'm as snug as a bug in a rug. Well, I see these words here, as, and those words tell me that this is a simile because it is making a comparison. We would be comparing ourselves to a bug in a rug, and the comparison is that we are both very snug, very comfy. Ring, ring, the phone rang loudly. Well, when you see these first two words, ring, ring, you almost hear the sound too because those are onomatopoeias. Those are words that imitate their sounds. On Wacky Wednesday, we watched wonderful wrestlers. So Wacky Wednesday, we watched wonderful wrestlers. A lot of the same sounds are being used. So this would be an example of alliteration. Don't spill the beans. Well, when someone tells you don't spill the beans, they're not actually talking about a jar of beans and be careful you don't knock them over or don't, drop the bowl of beans for supper. It's not actually talking about beans at all. This is a silly expression that means like don't ruin the surprise or don't tell the secret. So this would be an idiom because it's a silly sentence that we don't take literally. There's another meaning behind it. And the wind sang throughout the forest. Well, the wind is not a person, so it cannot sing, but it's just a fun, expressive way of saying how the wind blew through the forest and maybe you heard a whistling, rustling sound from the wind. So this is an example of personification because we are giving a non-human trait, let me say that again. We're giving a human trait, singing, to a non-human object such as the wind. All right, so now let's get into different types of poems that you can be thinking about creating this week. Acrostic poems, and I'm sure you have seen these kind of poems before, but maybe just didn't know what they were called. But an acrostic poem starts with one word that's written vertically, which means going down, straight down, and then each line of the poem starts with that beginning letter. So for example, if I wanted to write a poem on cats, I might start with the word cat going vertically, and then off of each letter, I would write something that has to do with cats, but it has to start with the letter C for cat. So I said cats are adventurous creatures, always sleeping through the day, tries to catch a mouse. So each line of that sentence is about cats because that's our topic. And each line starts with the beginning letter from the word cat. So that's an example of an acrostic poem. Over on the next page here, I have some other examples of acrostic poems. And this topic is math. Okay, math is one of my favorite subjects. So I wrote an acrostic poem about math, and I added a little bit of rhyme to it also. Rhyming is certainly something we see often in poetry, and some certain types of poems have certain rhyming patterns, but not all poetry has to have rhyming words. But I tried to be creative and come up with one that does. So for math, I said, my favorite subject in school, algebra, multiplication, division 2. Take your flashcards home and practice. Homework is a lot to do. So a little bit of rhyming in this poem with the second and the fourth lines, to and do. So it just kind of adds a little bit more rhythm and fun to the poem whenever you read it. Now we're going to come up with an acrostic poem here together using the letters in spring. So think of things that have to do with springtime. I think of flowers. I think of certain animals. Maybe some activities that you can do in the springtime. Okay, I'm just trying to change my font here a little bit. Whoops. I changed it all. Okay. So for the S, we could say summer is almost here. When it's springtime, that means summer is almost here. Pretty flowers are blooming. So that starts with the P. Now we need something with an R. I think it rains a lot in the spring. Raindrops splash on the ground. And I use splash, which is an onomatopoeia word, even though it's not the beginning of our sentence. Now, Summer is almost here. Pretty flowers are blooming. Raindrops splash on the ground. I could even just use I as the pronoun I and say, I love to ride my bike outside. And then N, what can we say for N? How about now is the time to start a garden. I like the garden. And then for G, how about go outside and have some fun. I love the springtime. So you can see I created an acrostic poem. My topic is spring. And then off of each letter in spring, I created a sentence of something that has to do with spring. So you can think about some things that you like. Think about sports or hobbies, or you could even use your own name. And I thought I had some name poems here. Maybe not. But you could use your own name as an example for your acrostic poem. Let's just say your name was Ben. You could spell out Ben going down, and then off of each letter, you could write something about yourself or some things that you enjoy, and that would create an acrostic poem. Those ones are specifically called name poems because it's using your name. But it's the same general idea of an acrostic. So maybe you want to write an acrostic poem this week. Next up are haiku poems. Haiku poems are poems that have 3 lines to them. The first line has to have 5 syllables. The second line has 7 syllables. And then the third line goes back to 5 syllables. Now, these poems originated in Japan. They are a Japanese form of poetry. And using a haiku format, there is a poem off to the right here that actually can help you remember what a haiku is. It says, I am first with 5, then 7 in the middle, 5 again to end. And it's talking about the syllables. Haiku poems are all about the syllables, which are the sounds that you tap out or you can clap out. So if we just check on this poem, just to make sure it is a haiku, I am first with 5. That was 5 syllables. Then 7 in the middle. 7 syllables. 5 again to end. 5 syllables. So it goes 5, 7, 5. So you can try to clap or tap out the syllables as you go. Here are some other examples of some haiku poems. And usually haiku poems are about nature, like weather, the seasons, or animals. They don't have to rhyme, but it's always extra fun if you do make them rhyme. So here is another example of a haiku poem called Leaves. Leaves dance to the ground, 5 syllables. The wind makes them twist and turn, 7 syllables. They spin round and round, 5 syllables. Notice how I did not say they spin around because that adds an extra syllable. So you have to be kind of creative when writing haiku poems because you can't go over the number of syllables for each line. And this actually has a little bit of rhyming to it, ground and round. Leaves dance to the ground, the wind makes them twist and turn. They spin round and round. So it has a little rhyme to it. It's a short poem, just 3 lines to it, and it follows a syllable pattern, 5, 7, 5. So maybe you want to explore haiku poetry this week. We're going to see if we can come up with a type of haiku poem here. Let's go with, not winter, because I'm kind of sick of winter. Let's go with summer. Let's see if I can come up with a haiku poem for summer. So when I think of summer, I think of swimming, I think of playing outside, I think of no school, summer vacation, summer vacation. Ooh, that has 5 syllables, so let's maybe do that. Summer vacation. So that has 5 syllables, summer vacation. My next line has to have 7 syllables. Swimming all day long. No, that only has 5. Splashing in the pool with friends. Ooh, that could work. Let's do that. Splashing in the pool with friends. And the fun thing about poetry, too, is that you don't have to be grammatically correct in your words and phrases because you don't have to have complete sentences necessarily in poetry. All right, so now I need another line that has 5 syllables. Summer vacation, splashing in the pool with friends. School is out. Hooray! How about that? School is out. Hooray! Although many of us maybe want to be back at school because we've been out of school for so long, just for something to do. All right, so here we go. We have a haiku poem. Summer vacation, splashing in the pool with friends, school is out, hooray. So the sentences follow a syllable pattern, 5, 7, 5. Okay? Have fun trying a haiku poem out if you'd like. Next type of poem that I want to teach you about is a quatrain poem. And if you recall from math, we've been learning about shapes, and quadrilaterals have 4 sides. So a quatrain poem is a poem that has, you guessed it, 4 lines to it. But something unique about a quatrain poem is that it has to rhyme, and there has to be a rhyming pattern. The rhyming pattern can be A-A-B-B, which means the first 2 lines of the poem rhyme, and then the last 2 lines of the poem rhyme with one another. Or it could be A-B, A-B, meaning every other line of the poem rhymes. So we're going to try to come up with a quatrain poem about recess. And if you look at the end of my sentence, it's A-B, A-B. That means every other line I have to rhyme. So let's see. I like to play kickball outside. Now, quatrain poems are a little harder because you do have to rhyme, so we have to kind of check how we're ending our words, how we're ending our sentences, and sometimes we have to go back and readjust if we're having a hard time rhyming. I like to play kickball outside. How about chasing friends is always fun. All right, now the tricky part comes because I have to rhyme. I have to make my next line rhyme with my first line because it's an A and then an A, and then we're going to have the B, B. So I like to play kickball outside. So I have to rhyme with outside. Let's see. Outside, hide, ride. So how about hide? I like to play kickball outside. Chasing friends is always fun. Sometimes, why is my words way down here? Sometimes they run and hide. Okay, so we've got outside and hide. Those are rhyming. The side and the hide. Okay, so now I need my last line to rhyme with fun. Sometimes they run and hide. Fun, run, sun. Okay, let's see. I like to play kickball outside. Chasing friends is always fun. Sometimes they run and hide. I could stay. I wanted to say something about staying outside in the sun. All day I could play in the sun. Does that work? All day I could play in the sun. And I kind of like it because there's a little extra rhyming within my line. All day I could play in the sun. Just adds a little more, rhythm to it when you're reading it. So let's see. I like to play kickball outside. Chasing friends is always fun. Sometimes they run and hide. All day I could play in the sun. Works for me. And you can see I'm just making this up real quick on the spot. I'm sure you could do a much better job when you brainstorm and come up with some very creative ways to add in that figurative language we talked about at the beginning, some personification, onomatopoeias. But you certainly, with poetry, I always go back and read and read and read over what I'm doing and make changes to it. I just like to hear it out loud to see how it sounds. All right. You could write a quatrain poem about your family or about school. There's one other type of poem that I want to run through with you real quick, and that is called a cinquain poem. If you know anything about counting in Spanish, uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. Cinco is 5, so a cinquain poem comes from the word cinco, that means 5. So quatrain poems, qua means 4. Cinquain poems comes from cinco, which means 5. So this kind of poem has 5 lines to it, and it does follow a certain rule. And you can see here, the first line has 1 word, and usually it's what the topic of your poem is about. The second line has 2 words, and those 2 words have to be adjectives describing your topic. The third line, you guessed it, has 3 words, and those words have to be verbs. They have to be action words about your topic. The fourth line has 4 words, and you can make it like a sentence, but it has to be something about your topic. And you would guess that the 5th line has 5 words, but instead it goes back to 1. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. And that 1 word at the end is just another word that relates to your topic. And so I want to walk through a cinquain poem with you about soccer. So since soccer is my topic, that can be my first line because it's 1 word about soccer. So I put soccer. Now 2 words describing soccer. I need adjectives here. So words that describe soccer. Let's see. I played soccer, so I should know a lot about soccer. I'm thinking of some describing words. How would you describe soccer? Challenging could be an adjective to describe soccer. And sometimes the challenge with coming up with these words is keeping them as, 1 word. Like I wanted to say like hardworking, but that's 2 words. So soccer, challenging. I don't know. How about just exciting? Okay, and then the third line has to have 3 words, and these are going to be action words. So thinking of what you do in soccer, kicking, or I might just say kick. Keep it just present tense. Kick, shoot, and another action in soccer, kick, shoot, run. Lots of running in soccer. All right, and then the 4th line is 4 words about soccer, and this can be a sentence. How about dribble to the net? That has 4 words in it, and it's like a sentence. Dribble to the net. And then 1 more word about soccer, about goal. That's what you call it when you score. So that would be a cinquain poem. Soccer, challenging, exciting, kick, shoot, run. Dribble to the net, goal. So you might want to write a cinquain poem about something that you like. You might write one about swimming or come up with your own topic. Another type of fun poem, type of poetry are called concrete poems. They're also known as shape poems because these are poems that take on the shape of their topic. So this first shape you could see, hopefully, is a star, and the poem is about stars. It says, a tiny, shiny, heavenly body, so beautiful it shines each time. I look up into the sky. I stay close and keep warm to enjoy the sight of nature's candlelight display. Relax, unwind, and let yourself experience the vastness of the universe. Let God's creation amaze you and awe you. Each tiny, shining yellow star is filled with splendor. Its light a messenger from afar. Let your worries leave as you see the beauty of the stars in the night sky. Let their light give you rest now. And the way the poem was written, it takes on the shape of a star. The next one here I kind of like too because it's a picture, an image of a dog. And it says man's best friend in the middle. And then all throughout the picture are words that the poet used to describe their dog. You see words like microchip and barking, cute, companion, friendly, treats, dog show, groom, commands, fur, fetch, tricks, puppy, playful, cute. Those are all words, and they have them written in different directions just to add to the image of the dog. Here's another neat one in the shape of a fish. And if you took the time to read each line one by one, starting at the top, it creates a poem about the fish. And they also add a different color into the poem so that you could really see the image of the fish. You can see where its mouth would be, its eye, the gills around, where it would breathe, and its fins. So it's really kind of neat to see. What I have next are some example poems that I found, and I just wanted to read a few poems to you. Poetry I find to be very fun to read, very exciting. There's lots of really good poems out there, lots of excellent poets. Shel Silverstein, even Dr. Seuss is a poet, Jack Proletsky. Those are all really good children's poets. So if you want to take the time, I encourage you to go on the internet maybe and look up some poems by those particular authors. And I know there are some others listed on your assignment sheet. This first poem is from Shel Silverstein, and it's called Hug-O-War. I will not play at tug-o-war. I'd rather play at hug-o-war, where everyone hugs instead of tugs, where everyone giggles and rolls on the rug, where everyone kisses and everyone grins and everyone cuddles and everyone wins. Now, I know with all the social distancing going on, boys and girls, we might not be able to play hug-o-war, maybe tug-of-war where we're staying apart from one another, but I just thought that was a really sweet poem. Speaking of sweet, I added a poem on here about ice cream because I really enjoy to eat ice cream. Right now, my favorite flavor is cookie dough. And so this poem can actually be read to the tune of The Farmer in the Dell. And so we often see a lot of poetry in songs and in nursery rhymes. And you might not think of it as poetry, but oftentimes it is poetry we just put to a tune. And so here is the poem Ice Cream. Ice cream in a bowl, ice cream in a cone, ice cream any way I want as long as it's my own. Ice cream can be sticky, ice cream can be sweet, ice cream is delicious, it's my very favorite treat. And what a treat it was to hear me sing. All right, here's the name poem I was talking about earlier. I found this name poem online, and the person's name is Bryn. You see B-R-Y-N-N going downwards vertically, and then horizontally going across are phrases that go along with that person. So bouncy like a beach ball, runs like a gazelle, yellow hair as shiny as sunshine, not as tall as a giant, nice and sweet like a sugar cookie. This name poem is also very fun because it uses a lot of similes. There's a lot of comparisons using the words like and as. Bouncy like a beach ball, runs like a gazelle, hair as shiny as sunshine, not as tall as a giant, nice and sweet like a sugar cookie. So there's some figurative language being used in that poem. And the last poem I included, I just thought was kind of funny. It said, if this puddle could talk, I think it would tell me to splash my sister. You see the boy and the girl standing out in the rain. The girl has the umbrella. Maybe she's not sharing with her brother, and so he is getting the feeling of wanting to splash her. I could just imagine him jumping into that puddle and splashing his sister. And if you look, this poem has 3 lines to it. So that makes me think of haiku poems that have 3 lines. And let's count the syllables to see if this truly is a haiku poem. If this puddle could, that has 5 syllables. Talk, I think it would tell me, 7 syllables. To splash my sister, 5 syllables. So it is a haiku poem. So boys and girls, I encourage you to have fun with poetry this week, even for your independent reading time each day for 10 to 15 minutes. There's lots and lots of poetry online. Maybe you have some poetry books of your own. I encourage you to read some poetry this week. Sit down with your family or even just with some stuffed animals and read poetry. It's often more fun to read out loud, I think. And so I want to end with sharing an online poem with you by Shel Silverstein. And he has his own website that you can go to, and there's lots of ways to access his poems. Some of his poems are audio recorded, so they will read them out loud to you, or you can even, find out some other things of what's new, what's going on here with poetry in Shel Silverstein. So you can see here, there's all these different poems here, and they come from different books of Shel Silverstein. And let's see, I had one picked out. Oh, yes, this one here called Falling Up. I wanted to read that one with you. Okay, so here we go. Any minute now. Here we go. Technology.
You don't have to pick up your toys, okay? You can leave them right there on the floor. So tonight when the terrible toy-eating Tuku comes tiptoeing in through the crack in the door, he'll crunch all your soldiers and munch on your trucks. He'll chew your poor puppets to shreds. He'll swallow your big wheel and slurp up your paints and bite off your dear batteries' heads. And then he'll wipe off his lips with the sails of your ships. And then making a burpity noise, he'll slither away. But hey, that's okay. You don't have to pick up your toys.
So I thought that one was kind of fun because it talked about you not picking up your toys, but hey, that's okay because the toy-eating monster is going to come and take care of that for you. So hopefully you are not leaving your toys out and causing mom and dad to get crazy with stepping on toys. And also so the toy-eating monster doesn't come and eat all your toys. All right, anyways, boys and girls, I hope you enjoyed this writing lesson on poetry. Feel free to reach out to your teacher if you have questions on poetry or if you need some extra assistance with writing poetry. Have fun with it, enjoy reading poems, and I can't wait to see yours. Take care now. Bye.